from a hunger pathway or hunger loop, when we have really high glucose levels, we oversecrete insulin way before we're even diagnosed with prediabetes and diabetes. And so that's why one of the most common, symptoms a prediabetic will have even before diagnosis is low sugar. And so what happens is when we have high sugar meal or just maybe only carbs in the meal, something very simple like chips or dessert, and we do that over and over, our body starts to oversecrete insulin thinking it needs to. And then when that happens, our sugar does eventually drop from baseline. So when we're used to having it high all the time, our body, when it drops to even normal, so I'm not talking low drop, I'm talking just even normal, we'll think it's starting to go low. And so it literally physically will drive stress response and other hunger hormones to make you eat more. Now the problem is that not only did that happen, but then our dopamine goes up and down that quickly as well. And honestly, it's one of the most addicting things. Nothing, not sex, or cigarettes will even match that kind of drop for a lot of us. So when we have that, we have this over craving and over hunger. The problem with all of that is when we do this over and over again, our brain is telling us to do it, but moreover, we're starting to store fat, and that fat leads to inflammation, and that inflammation then goes back and literally will affect our insulin signaling. And so that fat will also lead to downregulating adiponectin, an insulin sensitizer. And so again, we become more insulin resistant. And then moreover, when we gain, fat or adipokines, right, that adipokine hypothesis, not only are we becoming less insulin sensitive, but we're also and inflammatory, but our leptin, which is supposed to make us satiated or feel, not as hungry, becomes resistant just like the insulin. So we need to eat more to feel more satisfied, and we have our insulin resistance at the same time. So that's where the fat is directly contributing to the insulin, cause it over hunger, over craving, and then at the same time, our insulin being high, that over glucose is leading to that fat storage. So they completely are, related that way.
When you were talking about just constantly eating, something that's, carb like chips, or maybe it's toast a lot or whatever, and you're picking on it, it's almost like you were talking about like what I see with clients with like metabolic adaptation, where their baseline will change. So by them continuously eating that, it drives the glucose high. So that becomes a new baseline. So what you were saying is when it goes back to normal, they feel like, oh, my blood sugar's low. Your body's like, blood sugar's low, go get more food. Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly. We call it pseudo hypoglycemia.